Doug Wiley with Police Magazine. I'm here with my very good friend Kevin Davis. We are in St. Louis, Missouri. It's ILEETA 2019,
It's ILEETA.
Gathering of the greatest minds, in my opinion, in all of law enforcement. One of the things that's persistent is the way in which the media addresses police use of force, and the way in which law enforcement responds to the media in their treatment of use of force. What can we as professional law enforcement trainers do to fix some of the problems that come up with this, the media's attention to police use of force?
Well, unfortunately, we operate on this age-old thought process of you don't say anything to the media.
Right.
And in reality, the way we have to address or think about it is that if we don't feed the beast will find something to munch on, and it's usually going to be our behinds. But the problem is that even with the talking heads, and I hate to say it when the only experts that the media can get out there is somebody that's been convicted of a crime as a law enforcement officer. I find that hilarious. But the problem is that you don't have experts in the field of use of force actually getting out there and getting ahead of the story and supplying the facts. The agencies circle the wagons. They don't want to talk about it. The people that are talking about use of force have little to no information because it is a niche, it is a specialty area, and there's more to it than just somebody that once went through a police academy. Mm-hmm. In the day and age of body-worn cameras, for instance, these things were kind of forced on us, but unfortunately, the agencies are not putting that footage out there in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And I think some agencies do a good job. Los Angeles Police Department, in the wake of an officer-involved shooting.
Oh, they do great reports.
They absolutely do, and it's Hollywood-level production. And then Las Vegas Metro does a good job as well. But I've even seen smaller agencies that have a shooting, one shooting that in their history, and you get a chief that's sitting at a desk. He's being filmed talking about the circumstances, which are so important.
Right.
And then they cut into rudimentary cuts or editing of the video to highlight weapons of the suspect, et cetera. So it can be done, but you have to think about it that if you don't put context out there, and that's what we have to do. That's our responsibility, is to put context to the incident.
Right. Because
absent our context, there's a vacuum, and that narrative is going to be taken over by people with agendas, and that's what we see.
Right. So, like in anything, one of the most important first steps is have a plan, have an idea of what you're going to do when something cooks off and you have to respond to the media. So we have to remember that the two words we can never say again are no comment. And you mentioned about LAPD. We're here at ILEETA, we've got professional lights and cameras and all of that sort. You don't need that kind of gear. You just need to have something and an idea of what you're going to do. And whether that's releasing the body camera footage with some context and explanation, whether that's, like you said, the chief or a lieutenant or a captain going in front of a camera and saying, this is what's going on. Because, like you said, if we don't propel the narrative will be propelled by somebody else, and somebody else probably doesn't know all of the facts, right?
Well, that's exactly true, and I've seen an agency, it's a good agency, they had a good officer-involved shooting, and they did a press conference, but all the PIO did was play a certain portion of the video and then said, I'm sorry, this is currently under investigation, I can't answer any questions, and walked out of the room. And here again, you can't do that. You have to provide context. And you have to be careful, I think, that the people that are answering those questions need to be knowledgeable, not just anyone can do so.
So Kevin, you talked about, what to do in terms of getting out in front of the camera, getting out in front of the story, not falling back on no comment. What are some of the things that you've seen agencies do incorrectly that are to be avoided? And then some of the things that we talked about, LAPD, we've talked about Las Vegas Metro, some of the agencies that do it well that can be replicated.
Well, I think that agency heads have to be brave in this time.
Mm-hmm.
That they have to look at it, that they need to stand up there, and yeah, they're going to put their butts out there in the breeze doing a press conference or whatever. But they have to be brave, because what too many agency heads are worried about nowadays is the negative ramifications of doing a press conference or putting a shooting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they have to understand that, I mean, Melissa Agnes is an excellent expert on crisis communications, and she has even recommended that agencies start tweeting, after an officer-involved shooting, so that they can get themselves out there as the source of information for
Right.
the community, so that it's not filled by people with agendas. So I think that's the big thing.
Because you already have people on Twitter, people on social media. Everybody has a mobile phone, so you have to be participating in that discussion. I have another thought. One of the things I've advocated for many, many years is not just a citizens police academy. I think we should have the media police academy. And whenever you see a member of the media go to a use of force simulator, go to one of those experiences, they go, "Oh, I had no idea it was this complex and this demanding." You have that aha moment. So, what's your thoughts on inviting the media in?
No, I actually love it. My agency in the past actually did one.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, you build those bridges with the media ahead of time, so
Right.
that they know who are the points of contact within the agency to if they have any questions. And I think those types of things is what they're looking for. Let's be honest. They may be with you for a day, but if you get 30 seconds of good press, that's worth a tremendous amount. And so I am absolutely pro media academies and running them through simulators. They like it. The reporters like it, and it's usually, I mean, you look at these types of coverages throughout the country. It's usually pretty positive.
Yeah.
So absolutely. And then once again, this Bridget, I heard a quote recently about police officers, and we have to be sure that what we're asking police officers to do, they can actually do. And, they're subject to the same human frailties as everybody else on the planet. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we want to get across to the media is, listen, these decisions aren't made, with a large time element, a lot of time, and great lighting. They're usually split-second decisions, that are made in terrible conditions, in chaos. And if we can relay that to the media, have them get a little bit of taste of themselves, even if it's in a simulator room, well, then I think we have maybe won some advocates instead of people that are constantly looking to bash. And in reality, once again, they're going to report on something,
Right.
So why not make it positive police news?
Right. I appreciate everything that you do to help our law enforcement officers out there be safer and more successful in the streets. And hopefully, here at ILEADA, we begin to continue the conversation around how agencies can be better at responding to the media's response to police use of force.
Well, thanks, Doug. I appreciate the opportunity, and this is my calling.
Yeah. Doug Wiley with Police Magazine.